Thank you for tuning in to Beyond Evidence. We always want to thank Northeast Georgia Business RadioX studio for this podcast. So in the studio, we have Miss Lucy from one of our previous cases, and we're so excited to have her back because we have some resolutions in her case. So Lucy, take us back to the moment of that 10:15 p.m. call where we had traveled so far to Miami to find your defendant and your scammer. Take me back to that feeling when I called you and told you that he was finally captured.
10 p.m., right?
Yes.
My heart was pounding. I still could not believe that was true. It took you 1.5 years searching and searching for this guy without avail, and finally, when you called me and said, they just got him, I felt a relief, but at the same time, I felt, I cannot believe how good this woman is. Mm-hmm. Wow. And your team, I think that the team that you have with you had a great deal had a lot to do with the success. And another thing that I was thinking at that moment, the moment that you called me, they got him. I said, the connections that she had, as well as the demeanor, the experience, and the contacts that she had were the resources that allowed your success.
Yes, let's go back to October 12th, 2024, when you called me about your defendant, the person that scammed you, over about estimated $165,000 plus all the monies you spent with me. And October 12th, 2024, me and my team were going to go to Miami, Florida, drive or fly. But the hurricane hit down in Miami. But you had found that he was advertising more scams, in my opinion, down in Florida for a legal seminar. And then Linda Blechinger, our investigator, she's not new anymore, also found him advertising on October 12th. So we had to reschedule from October 12th. And now I'm going to let Linda explain how Robin and the team missed the flight.
Oh, I didn't know I was explaining that. Well, just the fact that driving to the airport in the morning, and we always expect traffic on 85, that's just a given. But I think there were 7 accidents that morning, and so we missed our flight. But we stood at the airport and said, you know what, this is like a God thing, because maybe we need to have this car to be able to drive around and do what we need to do. So we said, okay, the 3 of us, Robin, myself, and David, said, we're going to drive. We're just going to go. We're going to drive. So right then and there, we left the airport and we headed out for Miami. Can I talk about the drive down there?
Oh, sure. It's like a 12-hour.
Yeah.
It was, but we accomplished a lot.
Well, that's what I want to say.
I would really like you, Linda. I could say a lot about what happened, but as a perspective of not so new investigator now, I'd like your perspective of that drive.
Backing up just a little bit, we did a lot of preliminary work. We kept on his social media. We kept on his website that he was advertising and made sure that this was supposed to happen. Because as Robin mentioned, the month before he was supposed to have it, an expo, a legal expo, and when we called the place that he was supposed to have it, they said he never finished the contract. Now, he ended up canceling, and it just worked out that the hurricane was coming through at that time, though I don't think it really hit Miami, but regardless. So he canceled. So we were watching to see what is he going to do on that website. And sure enough, he blasted it that it was going to be a 2-day legal expo. And I mean, he charged starting at $10,000 for a premium booth, and then it would go down to $75,000, and then $5,000, and then $3,000 and $2,000, I think. So we kept on it to make sure this time it was supposedly going to happen. It looked very real. I mean, he had videos, he had people speaking, he had people, like known speakers published that they were going to speak there.
The sheriff?
He had lots of pictures with the sheriff that was running for office, What was incredible was that when she won, that actually helped us to pinpoint him because he posted a picture on Instagram that morning that he was there, and it time-stamped and placed it in Miami.
You found that because we were going to go to Orlando.
That's right.
Where his house supposedly was, some addresses. So we were going to go to Orlando first.
Yeah, yeah.
But when we saw, or you found, Linda,
This
that he
picture
was...
pops up and it says, "Congratulations to the new sheriff," and it's him and her taking a picture together.
Right.
And so then we knew he was in Miami that day. So we were like, all right, it's on.
It was on.
Yeah.
So we kept going. And let me tell you, I was driving like, if you've ever drove with me, you can understand. So.
We did a lot of praying.
We did.
But what impressed me the most was Robin, hands-free for all the police that are listening. She was
Yes.
on the phone
I was hands-free.
constantly with Norcross police, with Miami-Dade, with the Ventura. She was making contacts. She was arranging. She was explaining the case because everybody's disconnected. We're in two different states. They don't really understand all the background of what's going on. Robin did a fantastic job of connecting with the chiefs and then connecting with the investigators, special crimes unit.
Do you remember what they told us that you were shocked about? They go, "Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Where's Gwinnett?
Where's the marshal?
Where's the marshals?"
Yeah.
And I remember looking at Linda, and we were sitting there, and he goes, "Well, where are the marshals? What is their job?" And I'm like, "Okay, sir. Well, anyway, this is my job." And because I wouldn't say I have a temper, but I did not want to get caught up and upset with something that he may not understand.
Right.
But I wasn't going to sit there and explain my whole job to him. Mm-hmm. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, well, running a police department for 16 years, I get that they're extremely busy, they're overrun, they have way more cases than they can handle. And when you're talking about something that's out of state, they want to do this extradition. It's like, wait, what? What is going on? Do I have to spend resources on this? But Robin was so persistent. Not only just every person she talked to, but we kept track of every person that she talked to. She kept track of telephone numbers and names and this and that. And so when it came down to it, by the time we arrived in Miami, she had already made all these connections. They were like, they were like ready for her. Really incredible. It was a wonderful experience of seeing how you have these private investigators coming in. And we've done all this research and all this work, and we know what it is that's planning on happening. We know what this guy is going to do. We've done our research, and now she's sharing it with them. No, this is what he's going to do. This is where he is. This is what's going to happen. And they were like, we are on it.
Hours and hours and hours of dedicated research. But
yes.
I don't know if I want to say it changed when I shared that my husband was an officer.
Yeah.
And that my girls were in law enforcement, which is a fact. I wasn't boasting on it, but I'm proud of them. Extremely proud of my husband. Adore my husband. Just extremely. So you have that experience, and then you have Linda being a retired mayor of Auburn, so she ran a whole department. I tried to relate to them when he said, "Well, does the marshal do this?" And I'm like, "Well, sir, they're very busy." And I just tried to relate to them, not so much boasting to them, but just translating a fact. And, I don't look at it that I'm a woman. And I forgot I was a woman. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying, mm-hmm. Lucy? Like I forgot, I know Linda understands, that I forgot I was a woman. I just keep going. And my husband brings it to my attention a lot. They're like, "Robin, well, you're a woman, so I don't know if they look different at you." And I'm like, I'm not that much different, even though I am different. I enjoyed the fact of the ride with Linda, and I didn't want to call you, Lucy, and put you on a roller coaster of everything that was happening because, we did get some resistant sometimes. And so we hooked up with the fugitive Miami-Dade police department, and oh my gosh, kudos to them, and I'll let Linda tell you what we did for them, but we were driving, and it was a long drive, Lucy. I think we only stopped twice.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm an amputee. Linda's like, do you need to take your leg off? Where do we need to put your leg? So Linda's like helping me with one leg. Dave's in the back to make sure I've got my sleeve, and I even remember one time I almost forgot that my leg was off and I was fixing to get out of the truck. And Dave's like, Miss Robin, I got your leg, you know. And so, but Linda, so we get down there, and oh my gosh, do you want to describe? I'll let you describe it, and then I'll describe it.
When we got down there, of course, we had been driving all that time. We were exhausted, but
can I interrupt you for just
Yeah.
this? I wanted Robin to clarify. I know I'm a woman, but sometimes I forget that I'm a woman when I am doing that kind of work. Couldn't quite understand. What do you mean by that?
Meaning, I don't feel or know or understand any discrimination. The fact that I may be a woman in this field, as you are gracefully an elderly woman with a different ethnicity, which, in my opinion, I feel like he targets victims that are women, that are of Hispanic ethnicity, and elderly. Okay,
because he is of Spanish ethnicity.
Yes.
So yeah, the common link is the language, of course. Yeah.
I in my opinion, I'm gonna keep saying this because he's still on trial. In my opinion, he's a predator, an extreme predator. In my opinion, in my experience, and I would say that, and I almost said that in court the other day, but I didn't want to, but I feel like he's a predator because I don't see any victims that are men.
When we arrived in Aventura, we went directly there to Aventura. We were exhausted, we were tired, but the text messages kept going back and forth with Robin and the police department.
Nador. Sergeant Alexander Nador.
Yeah.
Kudos to him.
Yes, yes. He got this kind of grit in him. We're going to get this guy.
That day, that Friday.
Yeah. Go for it. Like, we hope and pray that you get him, We had given him, as I said, all the information that we had on him. So they were waiting. They ran his plates, and they were looking for him wherever he was going to turn up. They were going to see him.
His tag of his vehicle.
Right.
We didn't know exactly what he was driving, but we thought it was some type of Camry.
Right. And we had the most recent plate, which, you never know. I mean, people change those tags out all the time, but we had that one. So they ran it, and they got him.
Yeah, it was like I want to explain it to the audience. It's called a LPR camera, license plate reader camera, which was fascinating. I was just fascinated. It's like in Georgia, we have the flock cameras, okay? The only person that can have access to flock cameras, which started in Atlanta about 6-8 years ago, is the police. So we have access to certain tag readers, but the police have access to a lot of them, and they were mentioning them, and I was writing them down because I was like, wow, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
So they had put like a geo fence around, like a big, I don't want to call it electronic fence, but like a bolo out to like be on the lookout to all the surrounding agencies. And I didn't know this was happening because, as Linda told you, Lucy, we were mentally, emotionally, we were just so exhausted. So we were fixing to go to bed. He said, we're going to do this tonight. And I said, you're going to really do this tonight, Sergeant? And he said, yes. And I said, okay. So anything you need from me, please let me know. We sent him pictures.
Why he wanted to do the arrest that night rather than the following day on the so-called expo?
Because he had said, to my memory, I don't know if tomorrow's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because we had told him, and I'll get into that in a minute, we had told him about what we had found out on that Friday afternoon. Mm-hmm. So remember, he's never really followed through with except one occasion maybe of a legal seminar, and I think he only had a booth then. So he's never really followed through with a plan of his marketing we were in the room, and Linda is just so wonderful to travel with. She is my calmer. I get very excited. I get very passionate. So she's my calmer, and she's like, okay, so, I'm taking my leg off. We don't sleep with our prosthesis. And the phone rang, and I'm like, there's just no way. And he said, I got him. I got him, Robin. I got him. I said, you do? He says, yes. He can't get out of this.
So you would never, you never went to the apartment complex?
No, because I didn't know an apartment complex he was at. And I had no idea where he was going to be. And I said, Sergeant, how did you do it? He said, well, they were in plain clothes, like jeans and T-shirts. They were not in their police cars. They were regular cars. And he said that they saw him come to an apartment complex. So they go in there, and they said they saw him through the window, doing something at a window. So one of the fugitive squad investigators knocked on the door and said, hey, I hit your car out here. Is this your Camry out here? I hit it. Like, I'm sorry. He said, oh, okay, I'll be right out. And he comes out, and he immediately gets put in handcuffs. So they used this ruse to get him out so they didn't have to go in.
Robin said, what was his reaction? And they said, he was shocked.
Yeah.
He just couldn't believe it. He was like, what is going on,
Never expect.
No.
He really thought that he was untouchable.
He did. Yeah. So to go back a little bit with the research that afternoon before we went to bed that night and caught him, we went to the facility on the 3rd floor where he was supposed to have his seminar. And Linda's been to several seminars. You've been to seminars. When you go to a seminar, you set up the night before or you have advertisements. And although the 3rd floor did exist, it didn't have a floor.
That's the name of the event place that they were supposed to have it. It was called 3rd Level. At this Aventura Mall, which is huge, like a city, they have this beautiful 3rd level, and it's an event center, and I mean big
Weddings.
Exposés, big, yeah, very, very like high class. So we go to the mall, and we're looking for this 3rd level because we want to say, well, if your big seminars this weekend, you're setting up now. We go, we find the elevator that you would probably take to go up to the 3rd level, and it doesn't go to the 3rd level. It only goes to the 2nd level, which we were at. We start investigating that. We're calling security to come and talk to us, talking to the people in the restaurant that we were in, which was just below the 3rd level. Finally, we get a hold of the manager up on the 3rd level, and we ask her, is this legal expo going on this weekend? And she's like, well, there's nothing going on here because the floors are completely torn up. Everything is being renovated up here. There is nothing scheduled.
And hadn't been. At all.
So I said, you had no reservations? She said, no, ma'am, we would not have taken reservations. So she said, well, the next day when we called to see if anybody was trying to get up there. And she said, oh, yeah, people were calling all morning. We can't get up there. So there were people that were scheduled to go.
There was 2 more victims that I finally shout out to the wonderful Aventura Police Department.
Yes.
Near Miami in Florida. There was an officer, her name was Bree, and she came to us and told us that 2 women, had scheduled to be in the seminar and paid to be in the seminar and showed up with their flight expenses, everything. And they had found the advertisement through Instagram. They called the police and filed a police report on theft. One person said she had spent like $3,000 plus, and I think the other one was $1,500 plus, and there was to be more. And they filed a police report, and I got that police report, and those were the 2 other victims. Let's talk about your experience on TV.
Okay. Deeply embarrassed. A 70-year-old woman being told by my husband as well as my family members that I was a savvy, well-known, well-experienced, with a great deal of knowledge about systems, about people, being perceptive, and all that kind of qualities and things. So I felt very embarrassed at the beginning. Even on TV, Channel 2, that graciously Miss Robin, in less than 24 hours, she was able to put that together,
Justin Gray, the reporter, Channel 2. He's
He
wonderful.
was
Shout
great.
out to him.
He
Yes.
was magnificent. He was great. And the kind of questions that he also made that were on target. So at the beginning, I was kind of embarrassed to see the contrast of all the things that my family, my people said about being savvy, about knowledgeable, blah, 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 blah. And here I am in the middle of something very embarrassing and allowed, like my husband said, amen, of that caliber. We call him a rat in Spanish. To allow him to do this to me, to allow that man to convince me. But the beauty of it was that Justin channeled to allow me with the questions, allow me to get it out of my system. And at the end, the closing paragraph was, how do you feel now? And I said, to tell you the truth, it gave me a peace of mind.
Yeah.
I can go now and be able to sleep in peace.
Yeah.
So it's the process, because I don't do this for advertisements of your case. I do this because I know for 100% there's more victims, lots more victims. And he's young. Christopher Martinez, Alberto Martinez, he has like 20 names, and he had this supposed company, Empower. And I'm not saying anything on this podcast that otherwise has not been publicized or I haven't investigated.
Yeah. 360 Marketing was one of
360.
the big ones.
That's
Correct.
the new corporation that he
Right.
opened up in Miami. But the one that he had in Atlanta, in Georgia, was Empower Group,
Right.
marketing group.
And the audacity in the courtroom the other day, him trying to make bond, of his rolling eyes and his smugness with his attorney. And then the officer doing the best he can. Kudos again to Officer Coleman Lindsay, Lieutenant from the Norcross Police Department, doing the best he can, because it is a complicated case. Monies and theft by deception cases are very, very, very difficult to do and to investigate.
Yeah, which is why the police departments have a hard time with it, because they don't have these long-term resources. They don't have the resources to spend a year and a half on one case.
Right.
I mean, they just don't. That's why having the private investigators come in and do all of this kind of groundwork to be able to go out and get the evidence is so critically important. But, Lucy, I just want to say that by you coming forward and going on TV and doing this podcast today, this is more prevalent. This is going on in our society, but really around the world. I think every nation has it. It's more and more that people are learning that they can make money off of scamming and using other people. People have become a commodity. So I want you to understand that you're probably one of a million that this has happened to.
We're very, very proud of you.
Yes.
Lucy, I'm so proud of you to come forward.
Yes.
I know it hurts, and I know it's painful. I know, and I've felt your pain. You're part of family now.
But I see you as strong.
Yes, you strong.
Stood up to him. There are other victims that we're hoping now, because of your strength, that they'll come forward, because you don't need to hide in a corner and be embarrassed over it. You need to come forward so that he can pay for his crimes and not ever do it again to other people.
Absolutely.
Right, so we've got you. We've got the two victims in Florida. We've got Donita, I think is her name.
Yeah,
And
Dinora.
Denora. Then we've got Yosemi Marie.
Yeah, Yesenia Medina.
Right. And then her mother. Right. And my phone's ringing off the hook about it. So I know that we are wanting to put that together for more victims, because, he has to be indicted. But I really, really, really appreciate you coming forward. And I want to close with the fact that I was very, very proud with your family, but that the district attorney, the ADA, assistant district attorney, came up to me and said, hey, can I give your name out to victims that need help? And I had never been approached like that through prosecution. And please, if anybody has been a victim of Empowerment Group 360, Christopher Martinez, Oh, he has so many names. How did he say your name to you? How did he say his name to you? He was Christopher Martinez or
Eric Christopher.
And then Alberto Martinez.
Never came up until you began the investigation.
Yeah.
When Lieutenant Coleman
We found four
began
different
the
names.
investigation. Five
Yeah.
different names.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage the whole group out there, if you're listening, please call Martinelli Investigations Incorporated. Please, you can look me up, 770-337-3989. Please call me. You can be anonymous, but, we're offering some rewards for people coming forward. And we'd really, really like, and if you've been scammed in any way, please give us a call. We're here. That's what we do. Before in closing, Linda, do you have anything you want to share?
We really had this vision of catching him on stage. But really, the truth is that number one is there was no stage. That was all a farce. There was no expo. But the police department were very wise in saying, let's get him tonight. Let's just say the expo was going to go on. Let's just say it was going to go on. When we were there at that mall, as I said, it's a city. It's huge. It would have been a nightmare to try to capture somebody there.
In safety.
Yeah.
Safety.
I mean,
Right.
yeah, it would have just been a nightmare. So really it went down the way it was supposed to go down. He was captured. That's what we all wanted. He's behind bars, thank God.
People we want to thank besides you, Lucy, and your whole family is the Aventura Police Department.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Aventura police agents that helped with the open records request, the Miami-Dade Fugitive Squad, and Chief Morales with Miami-Dade.
Yes.
The security guards that helped out a lot there.
From the mall, Aventura Mall.
Linda and Dave that helped with the agency. And then most of all, besides the district ADA in Gwinnett County, Lieutenant Coleman Lindsay, that took it upon himself to sit down and listen and take out this warrant for theft. We're so
Yes.
appreciative.
From Norcross.
From Norcross in Georgia.
Yes. And of course, Robin, who I describe sometimes is like a dog on a bone. When she gets it, she is determined. I have never seen anybody with such
Determination.
that she's going to get it. And I think that comes through in every person that she spoke to. That's why, all of the police and everybody she spoke to understood that there was this gravitas in her voice of, you don't understand. It's now. Now is the time. We've got to get him. Robin, it's just a pleasure and an honor to work with you and see how you don't let the bad guys get away with it.
Oh, I appreciate that, Linda. That touches my heart. So again, thanks, Tom Sheldon, and thanks for tuning in. And we will have more cases and more follow-up. And everybody have a super peachy day. Please contact us by our website, martinelliinvestigations.com. Martinelli ends in an I. Investigation starts with an I, so that's two I's with an S on the end. Our email is MII, and then Georgia spelled out, GeorgiaPI@gmail.com. And please call us anytime at 770-337-3999, 770-337-3999 for a free consultation. Thanks so much and have a great peachy day.